All right, welcome to our webinar. So as I said, I'm Jed and this is Chris.
Hello, I'm Project Assistant for Digital Inclusion here at Leep.
And I'm Head of Learning and Development. Now, Chris is an experienced digital mentor. So he's come across having to explain things to learners before. I've mentored a little bit, but Chris will be really an expert in both what sort of scams there are, how they get onto your system, and also some of the fine points of letting learners know about the scams. This webinar has been recorded, and that recording will be made available, and we can also send a PDF of the webinar if you wish. So as we go, you can pop in questions and comments and we can respond to them. So post away. All right, let's get into it. Or not. Yes, there we go. Oh dear, what's happened?
Looks like you've got some ransomware.
How terrible. We better pay the ransom so we can move on. So this is one of the things that you probably know about that can happen with scams, and it's a pretty deadly one. Usually businesses are targeted, but also individuals. Any comment on that, Chris?
Yeah, individuals can get ransomware. You could get someone saying that they've got some incriminating photos on you, and unless you don't pay the ransomware, they'll leak it to all over the internet, or they might leak it on your social media. It happens to a lot of famous people.
Yes, I know it happened to one famous person in England, and it was video, and he just said, I'll release it, I don't care. So they did, he didn't care. So when people see this sort of thing, they're gonna clearly react like this, most likely. And it's a bit late then, isn't it?
Yes and no. You could sort of, if it's on your phone, you can also reset your phone. But if you've got nothing to really worry about, you can just ignore it. People are really playing on your fears that your information is going to get leaked.
Yeah. But if people do get scammed in any way, they're probably going to have a fairly severe reaction.
Definitely.
And because we get people online, we help them to become more comfortable with their technology and use it more, then we have a responsibility to let them know about scams, because we don't want to put them, their emotional well-being or their life savings at risk. So this is what mentoring should look like.
Mentoring should feel safe and enjoyable. People learn the best when they're mildly stimulated, not too relaxed and not freaked out.
Yeah, we need them to be alert. We need them when they're learning to be switched on, but not nervous. They're probably nervous enough with the technology anyway. A lot of people have low confidence and they're worried they're going to break something. So we don't want to scare them off technology, but we do want them to be able to sniff out a scam. So instead of panic and freak out, our motto is keep calm and smell that scam, sniff it out. So we're gonna today give you a background about what the scams are, how to spot scams yourself, and how to encourage learners, gently bring them along so that they can always have their wits about them. Because as you know, scammers are pretty sly, and one of the first things they do is try to get the confidence of people. All right, what's this website, Chris?
This is ScamWatch. This is a ACCC website, and it's fantastic for learning about scams and their impact.
So record losses expected as scammers target Australians, and they predict that this year by December over 500 million will have been scammed from people. It's really hard to get accurate figures because a lot of people don't report getting scammed. Why not? Any ideas? Any ideas, Chris? Why people wouldn't report getting scammed? Oh, no, I wasn't really asking you. People are happy to type.
They might feel ashamed. They might feel like, oh, they don't want their family and friends to know that they have been scammed and they have lost money. Or they might feel like if they've got something to hide, like they might have some racy photos or something like that. And oh God, like they're out there. I don't want other people to know. I don't want my husband or my wife to know. Or
yeah. They might have been having an internet affair.
Yeah.
They might just feel totally embarrassed that they've lost money. So the ones that get reported probably, I think in the region of about 1/10 of that figure. way less than 500 million would get actually reported to ScamWatch, by the look of their statistics anyway. So Chris, the scam's just done through computers?
No, not these days. They can done it through the phone, even in person, and good old snail mail.
Snail mail, so you get a letter through the post and you get scammed that way?
Yeah, you can have Nigerian prince could send you a letter saying same with the email.
Yeah.
Or you could have a chain letter, just pass on the chain letter, and they want you to put maybe a little bit of information in where it's from, your name, and just pass it on. They might give you 10 cents. I've had one of them in the mail a long time ago.
Oh, yeah.
And just threw it out.
Yeah. So people say, I don't want to use the internet because I might get scammed. They're just as vulnerable from getting rang up, or?
Definitely.
Yeah.
You have people pretending to be from Telstra, the banks, all sorts of companies these days, saying you've had I get ones saying that I've had a car crash. I don't even own a car.
Right.
Yeah.
Just a quick introduction to 4 of the main methods that scammers use, and I am going to ask you to type in something in a minute, so be prepared. I'll let you read those. So, gaining people's trust, that could be verbally, or it could be simply through using trusted company logos. Verification is where you're asked to type in perhaps a username and password, or contact them at their address. And if you're trying to verify who they are, they'll give you phone numbers, they'll give you websites to check them out. Playing on your emotions. They could be romantic emotions. They could be the emotion that you're going to get in trouble if you don't click a link. Or maybe emotion if you're going to get rich if you follow through. And also the urgency, the time factor. So I've got a little puzzle for you here. I want you to match up a number with a letter and type it in. So if you think trust matches up with A, type 1A, and so on. Bit of an experiment, this. I'd like you to have a go at it. A goes with which letter do you think? Sorry, A goes with which number? Is it about trust, verification, emotions, or urgency? Yes, A1. I'd go along with that. Oh, no, it wouldn't actually. A2.
Yes.
A2. And a big thing about it. Sorry, Christine, you're a bit on the spot here. If we had 100 participants, you wouldn't be. Let's talk it through. So, verification, where you are, where you're being asked to verify who you are, that'd be 2A. Trust, you've got the My Post logo thing there, and people trust known brands. They think, oh, that must be the post office. So one would actually be D. Emotions, I love you, B. Okay. Yes, you are, Christine. I see. Okay, we won't force you to concentrate too much. Are you happy to continue? Okay, absolutely. All right, we'll just keep going. So number 4, urgency, would be where you only have 3 days to submit the payment, and time's running out. So that's the ransom one that we showed earlier. Okay, so typical scam. Where are we? Chris, has anybody ever got a free iPhone?
No, you'd never get anything for free these days, especially a phone.
All right, so this is our first sort of principle. Oh, that's not quite right, is it? If it sounds too good to be true, not it must be true. You can probably finish this sentence. You might have seen it's probably too good to be true. Just assume on the internet that it is too good to be true.
Definitely.
That's the safest way to go. So if, like me, you get, as a middle-aged man, pictures of women in bikinis on a beach saying they want to be my friend, it's probably not true. It's definitely not true.
I doubt that's a woman.
If you get a handsome soldier saying he wants to be your friend, he's probably not that handsome soldier. Another common scam, that one, the typically the soldier in Afghanistan. Coles voucher, is that a common one, Chris?
Definitely, and that's crazy. Like, Coles are not going to give you a $1,000 voucher, but the vouchers are a very common one. You'll get on ads on Facebook or websites, or they might even get emailed to you.
Are they always that high?
No, I've never seen one that high before. They're normally about $50 to $100.
That seems much more realistic, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And what are they asking for? What are they?
Oh, they're trying to fish for information. They just want to get as much information out of you as possible, so they could probably try and steal your identity down the line or sell your information.
Okay. If you get an offer of some investment, and this is the biggest raker in of cash off the unsuspecting people of all, the investment scam, where people can lose hundreds and thousands of dollars because they fall for these scams. And on the other hand, it could be something that too bad to be true.
Definitely. You probably think you're in trouble here, so you probably want to try and click the links on it, even though you probably think, oh, I haven't done anything. But if you get something like this, it looks legitimate, and you probably want to try and click a link on it, even though it could lead to something nasty.
How can that happen? Clicking a link leading to something nasty?
The link could go to another website that could contain malware, could contain a virus, could even contain a Trojan, or it could even lead to a website where they try and fish information out of you. Like they might have another legitimate looking federal court website where they ask you to fill out a form. They might even ask for your credit card details, things like that, and you think, oh, I'm in trouble, I need to pay a fine, and it looks legitimate to yourself, so you do it.
Okay, of course, a learner won't know what a malware or a Trojan is, so we'll have a little look at them later on and maybe explain the concepts a bit. How can I detect where a link is going to go?
The best way to do it is, it's easy on PC. You just put your mouse over the link and the URL will come up underneath it. If you get this on a tablet or your phone, it's a bit hard to look at that. But the best case scenario is if this gets emailed to you and you don't think you've done anything wrong, just delete it.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? If it just doesn't ring true, then be suspicious and ignore it. You can always contact the Federal Circuit Court of Australia to try to find out, but they will tell you they never send things like that by emails. You can also look at their website, and a lot of websites now, Australia Post, banks, the Federal Circuit Court, they will have a section on scams, and they'll tell you their procedures, and they'll tell you right there that this is not one of them. So if it seems too bad to be true, it probably isn't true either. It's just designed to freak you out and make you act hastily, and people most certainly do. So, rule number one, if it's too good to be true or too bad to be true, treat it as not true. Now, another thing to help you detect scams, this fellow is an expert at detecting scams, and he's took down a huge call center in India where a lot of scammers originate. And that isn't to stereotype people, it's just that the average or the median income in India is about $2,000 a year. And there's plenty of households in Australia where people make $2,000 a week. So there's a lot of very poor people, and they're desperate. So they're going to try to get money out of rich Western countries. This fellow, he hung around cafes and noticed people wearing nice watches and had nice phones and shoes and stuff, and he knew there was a call center in the area, so he started to chat to them and be friends with them and ask them about their work, and he found out pretty quickly what they were up to. So look out for accents. Another accent you may get is a robot voice. Would that happen in Australia, Chris? Get a robot voice on the phone?
All the time. I get a lot of them with the NBN going in now, pretending to be from the NBN, saying that the NBN, my internet is about to be shut off. I have to join an NBN provider. Please contact this number.
What would happen if you did contact the number?
They'd probably try and fish some information out of me.
Yeah.
And pretend to be an internet provider where they wouldn't be. So. Learners should never give their passwords over the phone, because Telstra, all the big companies, will never ring you up and ask you for your password. They should only give their password if they ring Telstra or a big company themselves after information. Then they will get asked for their password, or unless they know the person on the other end is genuine.
Yeah. Yeah. A call from out of the blue requesting a password, big red flag. And we've got to teach people, if they feel uncertain, not confident, it's best just to shut the conversation down and ask someone else about it, or
definitely
research what's going on. So why would we avoid payments by these methods, Chris?
Well, if you use your credit card or your debit card over the internet, it actually gets stolen and then used to buy other things. And then suddenly you look on your, you go to your statement and suddenly you've bought things overseas and things like that. Like, oh, I don't remember spending hundreds of dollars on this. I never received this package.
Right, so you'd pick it up. Why shouldn't we use money orders or wire transfers or funds transfers?
You don't know where the money's going. Like you could not get the money back if you think it's a legitimate cause and you wire money to people. Then there is no way of, like, if you've been scammed, to get that money back.
Some other methods there as well. Would scammers use things like PayPal to get money out of you?
Not really. PayPal is extremely safe. I personally use that for all my internet transactions. And if you've been scammed, like especially they're excellent with eBay, if you think you've bought something dodgy off eBay, they'll actually give you your money back. I think it's up to $1 million that they'll give you back if you can prove it.
Now, on the Scam Watch website, which is it's probably the best go-to website because it's Australian, you get all the different sorts of scams that you can look into. That's just a screenshot of the website. So we'll go through some of these. We're not going to go through all of them. First of all, you might get told that you've won something. It might be a holiday. It might be a lottery. Now, the holidays are kind of a grey area, as some scams are. It's a grey area because some of them will simply be offering a discounted holiday, but there's hidden sort of costs in there. And these may be registered businesses, and that's just the way they get customers, and they kind of trick them out of their money. It's not a scam where they take everything and you get nothing. Some of them are, but some of them you will get your holiday. You just might find that you pay $1,000 for your transport from the airport to the hotel or something like that, and you didn't see that one coming.
Or you might get cheap airfares one way, but on the way back, you'll have to pay full price.
Yeah, that happens with just airlines that we know, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Unexpected winnings, like you've won a lottery, some of them will ask you to fill out forms that fish out lots of interesting information. You can see there. And on the right of your screen, you'll see what comes up on the ScamWatch website, which is the demographic of people who report these things. So the over 65s are particularly vulnerable here. Now, these icons represent the methods used to contact people. So the most common one to say you've won a prize you haven't won is simply by phone. The most second one is by text. The third one by email. And the fourth one by getting a letter through the post, by snail mail. And I'll pop these icons over the demographic information to let you know how these scams are channeled towards people. Detections shouldn't be too difficult. If you haven't bought a ticket in the lottery, you're probably not going to win the lottery. When people know how to search, and of course a lot of our learners don't, they can go search and see if they can find that company. And if a lottery asks you to pay to get the money, then that's not something that lotteries do either. So we're getting an idea here that you can sniff out these scams. There are ways to detect them, but you're going to overwhelm a learner if you give them all this information at once. So we'll get on later to the importance of sort of just giving it to them in bite-sized chunks. If you see the same learner a lot, you could maybe discuss different sorts of scams with them now and then. Another one's a rebate scam where you get a email saying that you are going to be given some money if you fill out this form or click this link. This one's got a few clues in it that it's a scam. One of them is the error in grammar, wrong capitalization, wrong spelling. That's pretty common. Do you ever see legitimate agencies having errors in grammar, Chris?
Yes, we had one the other week where Centrelink sent out a grammar-ridden letter, and everyone thought that was a scam.
Right. So it can happen in government agencies as well. They send you a legitimate letter and it's full of bad grammar, but it's pretty rare.
Yes.
The pyramid selling. This is where you're asked to contribute money. It used to be the chain letter type thing to the person who sent it to you, and then contact lots of your friends and get them to send you money. And people might make money out of this if they get in quick enough, but eventually you're going to have the last wave of people contacted going to be out of pocket. Now, notice the demographic here. More towards younger people. This one's called Loom, and this really plays not only on people's emotions of getting rich quick, but also on trust, because your own friend could contact you and ask you to join them, and they may have they will have given money themselves probably, and now they want all their friends to send them money, and then they'll tell you that you can get rich too. So, but the buck's got to stop somewhere. It's got to end somewhere. So most often used with social media. That's why I put the Facebook logo. Then the next logo is for the internet. What is that? What's that all about, Chris?
This is about phishing. Basically, people phishing for your personal data, then they can use it to either steal your identity, or they can just use it to sell it to other companies.
So a few different sorts here. Notice the demographic, quite widespread, stealing personal information. Targets all different age groups. Hacking, so here we see these things where people really get inside your computer. Briefly, Chris, what's this malware, virus and Trojan, what's the difference?
Well, a malware is a small piece of software that'll get on your computer, and it can do all nasty things. It could just be bloatware where you open up your browser and it'll try and make you go to a different website. They're normally pretty harmless. There's other ones where they'll actually steal your information. They'll monitor your keystrokes. They're after your passwords. Viruses are sort of the same. They'll infect your computer, slow it down, and they're basically after all sorts of information, all sorts of personal information. They're after all your passwords, all your logins, and Trojans are not so much widespread these days. That they're bits of software that they could be emailed to you. Same with malware and viruses. They could be emailed to you. You could click a link that you thought was safe. You could go onto a dodgy website and get malware. But Trojans are normally a small bit of software that normally they get emailed to you, where they'll just activate in the background and they'll give someone access to your whole computer, and you won't even know that they're there, like while you're on it, looking at things. And they'll have access to all your systems. They'll be able to, if you have text of your passwords or things like that, they'll be able to find that, and they'll be able to get into everything.
Okay, I'm just going to check our participants. Oh, we have another. Who have we got? Welcome, Jill. Okay, Thank you, Chris. So how do we protect against these malware, virus, Trojan type things?
Well, all computers these days come with antivirus. They're different levels of effectiveness. You can buy them as well, but then that costs money, that costs subscriptions. So that could be up to like $100 a year, and most people can't afford that. You can get some really good free ones, but I think the best defense against them is yourself. If, like what we were talking about before, if it's too good to be real, then it's not real.
So you don't click a link that could end up getting you infected with malware, virus, Trojan. Also, keeping your operating system up to date, keeping your software up to date. What happens is software companies get backdoors, ways into your system through their program identified, and then they make what's called a patch, and they'll fix that software up so that hackers can't get in through their software anymore. So really important that people keep their devices updated. This can often be set up to happen automatically on devices. The only issue with that is that it's good to have software update when you are on a wireless connection rather than use your data, depending on the plan that the learner has. If they're on a pathetic little 1 or 2 gigabyte plan, then even 1 or 2 updates could blow their data out. So I myself prefer to be prompted to update, but to update manually when I want to, when I'm on a wireless.
So these are pop-ups you might get on some websites. It might look like a legitimate website, and you think you might be logging into your account, but you're actually giving your account details to a dodgy website, and they're phishing your information.
Now, yeah, okay, yeah. This is like a warning, I think, this one from Windows Security, iExplore. The server's asking for your name and password. The server reports is from warning. Windows has detected. Yeah. So it's warning you about somebody trying to attack with this sort of technique. So sometimes your system will detect when this stuff's happening, and particularly if you have a virus scanner on there, that'll jump up and warn you. And often it just deals with things in the background. You don't even need to know. It'll deal with them and give you a report later. Often, again, just done by phone. Personal information theft, people ringing up, asking you information, getting your passwords, getting your date of birth and that sort of thing, and then using that to steal your identity. Email common, text common, and using the internet. Okay, what's this sort of one about, Chris?
This is a post scam. So you might think you've got a parcel being delivered, and you go, oh yeah, my parcel's been delivered, and they'll want you to click on a link. And the same thing happens again. It's basically phishing. They're after your information. They might go to a link, and you might have to fill out your address, your phone number, your name, date of birth.
Now, it should be pretty obvious, just like not having a lottery ticket, you won't win it. If you haven't ordered anything, then why would you be expecting a parcel?
Yes.
Trouble is, a lot of us do order stuff online, and within the next week or two, we may be expecting a parcel, so it won't feel like a surprise to see something like that. We see AU post up the top, think, oh yeah. So it's, but this is a pretty funny looking link. The ZDE.me, that looks very strange.
Yeah, it's the big giveaway right there.
Yeah, probably the only giveaway if you are expecting a parcel. And some of these pop-ups and messages are quite tricky. They look very similar to the real thing. So on the left, we have the real thing, only asking for a password. On the right, and you might see this on your phone, it asks for your username and your password. And that's where you get ripped off. So it'll be very hard, I think, for people to spot that immediately.
Especially if you're not used to it as well.
Yeah, if you've just got your new phone and you're having a mentor help you, and you do see signing into the iCloud pop up, as it does when you set up a phone. So another golden rule, I think, is if in doubt, ask. Then we'll get to that. All right, an Australia Post scam again. Looks all legit. Asking for your name, your card number, your expiry date. Real phishing there. As for payment for delivery to receive a package. So that's a clue right there. You shouldn't have to pay to receive a package if you've already paid for postage when you've ordered something. What else is a clue there, Chris?
The link, the actual URL itself is not even an Australia Post one.
Yes, what is it called? Fairway.fr. Look, very strange looking link. Some of them won't be so strange. Another one that is phishing for your Commonwealth Bank login details. And if you glanced at that address in the address bar, CommBank, oh yeah, that's good, CommBank, that's who I'm with. And then if you look at all the rest of it, you'll see lots of dots. And if you know how to read a URL, you know that's not true. But if you don't, you could easily fall for that. But again, we've got to tell learners, you will not get asked by your bank for your username and password unless you log onto their site to do your banking.
Or you actually ring them up yourself.
Or you ring them up, yeah. Okay, so to detect, a few different ways. As Chris said, use your antivirus software, things like Malwarebytes and so on. Be suspicious, sniff out things that look wrong. Think, have I ordered the parcel? If not, why am I even getting this? Talk to a relative, your digital mentor, if you've got any doubts at all about what you're seeing. And go to the legitimate website and have a look. They'll often have scams mentioned on their websites, as I said. Research whoever it is, or ring them up, ask them what's going on. What does that padlock mean there, Chris?
That means the website's secure. So you might see in the URL bar, when you put a website in, address in, it'll have HTTPS. S stands for secure. So that means the website is encrypted, means your information is safe.
Okay, so something to watch out for. If you're dealing with any legitimate organisation, they would definitely have the HTTPS for anything involving a transaction, yeah?
Yep.
Yeah.
They all do.
They all do. So there's the real website of Australia Post. If you go there, they will tell you what sort of scams are happening right now. And you might like to do this with a learner. You might like to ask them if they've heard about any scams, or if you want to let them know about one, and go to the website and have a read about it. They'll often have videos and stories on there of what's happening. Okay, what's some clues on this one? Have a look yourself. That would indicate this is a scam. We'll just wait a minute, and I'll see if Chris can spot them. All right, Chris, far away.
Well, we've got the obvious one, good old Dick Smith. I highly doubt he would send you a phone himself. And then we've got the other one, phone won in competition. You might not even entered a competition. Even if you did, like it's like, yeah, I highly doubt that you'd actually like win a one without like, other clauses as well. And then we've got payment of freight is missing, like they want $1 for that. And even though up the top the website has a padlock to say it is secure, it's not, because like you just need to look up the URL.
So if you Googled your time to into your browser, you'd find out it wasn't anything to do with Australia Post.
No, you probably wouldn't want to go to that actual website itself.
Don't even do it.
No, but you could Google your time to and see what comes up, but don't actually go to that website.
Right, it'll probably come up as this is a scam.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Remote control, what's happening here?
Well, this is a program called TeamViewer. TeamViewer is a really good little program. If you need to say you have a legitimate friend who's an IT technician and you might have a problem with your computer, but they live over the other side of the country, they could actually remote into your computer to have a look. But these days, a lot of hackers are trying to do that. They might ring you up to say that they're from Telstra or Microsoft or Google and say that there's a problem with your computer and we need to fix your computer. And they might ask you to download this program called TeamViewer, and they might try to get access to your device, and then they could probably install some ransomware, or they could, the normal scam is they say, oh, your computer is full of viruses, we will fix that for you, it's going to cost hundreds of dollars and we'll fix all the viruses for you. But essentially they will lock you out of your computer until you pay it.
Okay, so you might as well just let them in the door and say, here's my computer, do whatever you want on it.
Definitely.
This one's a bit more unusual, but it happened actually to someone I know. They lost their phone, and then someone tried to get their phone number as well. So it's called number porting, and you know about that, Chris?
A little bit. Number porting is a legitimate thing. You might get your mobile phone, you might want to have a new mobile phone, something could have happened, new mobile number I should say, and it's basically porting to your information over to your new mobile number. But scammers can use it, they can steal your mobile number, because these days everything is on people's mobiles. So they could log into your accounts and things like that with like your number. They could pretend to be you. As long as they have enough information about you, they could definitely steal your mobile number.
Yes, it's especially tricky, this one, because if you are porting your mobile number, you'll get a message saying that you've got to respond within a short amount of time to stop it being ported. Now, as I said, urgency is one of the tricks that scammers use. So if I lost my phone and then I got another one, and then I got a message to say, it appears you're trying to port your phone number over to another device, do you want to do this? You've actually got to respond quickly and say no. So usually we watch out for things that ask us to respond quickly, because it's a warning sign. But in this case, if you are not shifting your phone number to another phone, you do need to respond quickly to stop it happening. If you're confused at all, you can follow that link and find out more about mobile number porting. That will appear in the PDF. Okay. Dating and romance scams. Social media, followed by email, and people's devices, phone and tablet, and through the internet. Look at the demographic there. middle-aged, it peaks. And it's a big one. It's the second biggest ripper-offer of people. Probably underreported by a lot. 2.6 million lost, and that's just what's being reported. That's halfway through this year. Particularly bad because it'll break hearts as well as empty wallets. So, from my own Facebook account, I've got 2, and I'm in the demographic, I've got 2 friend invites from these strangely clad women who I've never heard of, and notice that unlike my other friend requests, these ones don't have any mutual friends. They don't know anybody I know that they suddenly want to be my friend. So I just ignore those. Another typical one, this is a little video that has been made on the ScamWatch website, and quite typical. You've been chatted up by this person for a number of months, and they finally say they're going to come and meet you. They might have flown from overseas, and then the last minute they get stuck, and of course your heart's totally in this by now, and they ask you for a little bit of money to help, or maybe a lot of money to help them actually meet you. And this is where people get done as well. So if you are starting to, or your learners want to start to use a website such as RSVP, it'd be good to go on that website with them and look at what sort of scams they've acknowledged happen through their platform. All right, little reminder. This fellow, Bernie Madoff, he scammed celebrities. He got them to invest with him, and because they kept joining the scam and he kept getting more money, he could pay the people who were already on it their promised 10% a year. So if they'd invested 100,000, he'd give them 10,000, and they'd tell their friends, and more people would come on board. And he always had money to pay off the existing ones until the financial crash of 2007, and that's when he got locked up. Now, he's only offering 10% a year, but he got rich and they got poor, and that's not a huge return, is it? 10% a year. You're not doubling your money or tripling your money. So when people get investment offers and they say, oh, we can double your money in 3 weeks, it's too good to be true, and it's not true. The amount lost there from the ScamWatch website is probably way under what it really is. The reports show that the peak is in the 35 to 44, but the people who lose the most money are older because they had more money, their retirement savings have got into, they end up losing their houses. One chap on ABC I saw had lost 900,000. And they reeled him in because he'd lost 900,000, but through that 1 or 2 year journey, they gave him 2,000 here, 2,000 there. Oh yeah, this investment's come good. So they gave him just enough to keep him interested. So a wide range of channels to hook people into investment scams. You can always do a search. If you get contacted by someone who says they're an investment company, because they do, don't they? People contact you and they say they can help you invest, and they might be legitimate. They might still lose all your money for you, but they might be legitimate. you can check the ASIC site in Google and do a search for them and see if they are. Threat of arrest scam. What's this about, Chris?
Oh, you might, what we were talking about before with the subpoena, you might get a message or an email or a phone call or something like that to say that you've done something wrong and the police are after you. Please, you might have to pay some money.
Okay. You might get asked to pay with iTunes cards. Pretty unlikely for the Australian Tax Office.
I don't think they want iTunes cards.
So there's the top ones as reported. False billing more affects businesses, where they send invoices to businesses and get them to pay it into some account that isn't the real invoicer. Probably the invoice isn't real at all. So that's why businesses are much more bureaucratic these days in the way that they handle their invoices. Online shopping scams at number 4. Now this website's actually honest in that it says that its stuff is fake. But other ones are not. And you pay big dollars for things that are fake, whereas this one is just cheap, fake stuff. So, how to detect whether it's a fake sort of website. It's not admitting to selling copied stuff. Too good to be true. Well, we're familiar with that one now, I hope. Poor website design, looks messy, maybe typos and bad grammar. That would be a clue. This is from a site called War on ID Theft. Bad grammar, as I said, number 3. Number 4, a suspicious domain name. If you're buying Gucci stuff and it's from somebody with a really weird name, probably not true. Bad reviews, you can type in a website name and reviews and find out about it. And finally, you can't pay using things like PayPal or credit card. You've got to use things like wire transfer or Bitcoin or money order. Another alarm bell. So when you're mentoring people, you've got to get them to try to sniff these things out. A little bit of dynamite attached to the phone there. Now, as I say, we don't want to terrify them, but we do want them to have their wits about them. So when they see things like this, they're not going to go into some emotional spiral and start clicking links. I mean, after a while, you probably had it yourself now. There's so many scams around. You can quickly kind of spot them and just have a chuckle about them. What's the last one you got, Chris?
I get a lot of phone calls for solar power these days.
Yeah.
Especially late at like 6 o'clock at night or something like that. I've had some funny ones where they tell me my computer's not working properly, even though I'm sitting right at it.
Yeah.
I just tell them I don't have one.
Right.
And I had a few saying that, yeah, I've been in a car crash, and they're looking for insurance information, and I don't even own a car.
You know, you just messaged me the other day, and then the next thing that came on my phone was what was it now? It was saying that my bank account was going to be suspended.
Yeah.
And I had to put in my details straight away. Yeah. And you know, I did a double take, but probably because I've been researching all the scams, it was just a bit of a joke to me. So here's a mentoring session. As a mentor, what should you do with your learners, Chris?
You don't want to try and scare them. You just want to give them not a lot of information, just a little bit of information. You just don't want them to be scared and overwhelmed with knowing about scams, but you need to just tell them that they're out there. And the biggest thing is what we've been saying the whole time. If it's too good to be true, then it really is too good to be true. So
yeah, like this one, here's someone being mentored by a younger man, could be his grandson, and gets this Facebook thing from this beautiful woman, and they can just have a laugh about
it.
Yeah. If people are suspicious, a call center might call them, and they might think it's rude just to say, no, I think you're lying. Just say, leave me your name and number. I want to talk to my partner about this, or to my son, he's a policeman, or whatever, but get off the phone. And if they do leave their name and number, well, you can always get someone else to call them back and check them out. As I said, they should be protected by software updates and virus protection. It's hard with some people who want to use really simple passwords, but tough ones. Chris recommends 12 characters with capitals and little letters. You can't remember them. You're going to have them either written down or in a password manager. You got a password manager, Chris?
Yeah, I use one called Bitwarden. It's an open source one.
Bitwarden?
Yep, Bitwarden. Yep. It's open source and it's completely free. I have it on my phone, on my desktop. It has a master password to get in. I haven't written that down anywhere. That's in my head, and it generates passwords for me. But I also, it's not the best practice, but with the learners who I've had in the past, like especially having big passwords can be a bit confusing for them. So even if they have like a little notebook and they write it down and just keep it secret somewhere, it's good too. It's not the best practice, but especially for older people, it works all right.
Mm-hmm. Okay, use the ScamWatch website, and if you subscribe to it, they will send you this thing called ScamWatch Radar. They'll send you reports of the latest sort of scams. There's also a book, and we've got it here at Leep, called The Little Black Book of Scams, and that's in a number of languages, so that's very useful one to have handy. You can give it to your learners. You can contact the ACC and they'll send them out to you as well. And I recommend that you have a look at these links, which we can put in the PDF, that will show you some of the latest scams and little videos about them, and also some activities where you have to spot the scam and the signs that help to detect them. Okay, our time is up.